when you fall down, you have to get back up. When is it going to happen to me?
It's hard to have patience. I mean, it is. If you really want it bad enough, you cannot skip steps.
Be grateful for what you got.
If you really want to get on that grind and you don't like your job,
I'm still cooking their bacon.
Because you're always going to be wondering, what if?
Damn, I'm only here for one reason and one reason only, though. Patience starts now.
Welcome back to another episode of Patience the Podcast with your host, Donny D.
And your co-host, Sammie G.
Tonight we got a very special guest all the way from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He's a 22-year-old CEO of a full-blown media marketing agency. He originally started his career on the Gold Coast of Australia and has been in this marketing media industry game for, I believe, about 5 years. Devan Sanders, welcome to Patience the Podcast.
Good to be here.
Happy belated birthday. I know you just turned 7 the other day, so happy birthday.
13, but I mean, I'm getting old.
So tell us, Devan, you've obviously started your career as a young entrepreneur, but you at some point made the decision to go across the pond and go to Australia, and that's kind of where you got your start as the CEO of Alpha Media. Tell us a little bit about how that story came about and what it kind of took for you to scale the business to what it is today, and how exactly you got the idea to even start a full-blown media marketing agency, and how you named it Alpha Media Marketing.
I graduated high school at 18, like most people do. And 2 weeks later, I moved to the Gold Coast of Australia with no intentions of starting a marketing agency. Might I add, I was just going there for surf and, some other things. But I went over there and my parents were forking me money left and right, like boom, left and right. I mean, I was a high school graduate. As of 14 days, I wasn't really making tons of money at the time. And my parents were paying my rent. They were paying for my food. They were paying like my car payment when I was there. I'm just like, I felt so guilty. I woke up one day just feeling so guilty. And I'm like, man, I really need to come up with something that can help me pay the bills. Because I was over there on a student visa at the time. And you can't work that much on a student visa.
Right.
So I literally Googled, I'm an avid supporter of Google. Not just because I own a marketing agency, but because I'm a human being. So I literally Googled, how to make money online. Because that was the only legal way I could think of to make money in the country. And starting a social media marketing agency was like one of the first things to pop up. And I'm like, man, I know about social media, like too easy. So I just started doing a whole bunch of reading, read forums, did all that stuff. And I made proposals and I just started doing email blasts for, a bunch of different restaurants, gyms, car dealerships, personal trainers, everybody of the sort. Anybody that would hear what I had to say, I would tell them. And I got my first social media client. It was a restaurant on the Gold Coast. And honestly, I lowballed the heck out of myself because I was honest with him. I'm like, listen, I've never had a client before. You're going to be my first client. I'm not really sure what the success is going to be. But I mean, if you'll have me, I'll give it to you for almost cheap kind of thing. So they had me, and I ended up creating a campaign that went viral for them. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm not bad at this whole thing. So started getting more and more social media clients. And I was like, this is going pretty well for me. And that's when the journey started to start for scaling it to a full service marketing agency, which is what it is today.
So you started scaling at the age of 18, is that correct?
Started scaling at the age of 20.
Okay, so you had about 2 years to kind of give Google their credit for starting your business.
Exactly.
And then 2 years' time, you had a few clients and you were already ready to start scaling into a full-blown media marketing agency.
Exactly.
So where does Alpha Media, what is that, how did you come up with that name?
Oh, yeah. So Alpha Media. So I do have a Christian background. I am a Christian, proclaimed. And Alpha Media was born through that because that's kind of like a Christian reference as an Alpha and Omega. And I didn't want to call my agency Omega Marketing just because like that's kind of like the end. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, alpha is, you know, pretty cool. It's going to be easy to make a logo for it. It's simple. It's one word. It's easy branding. So all those kind of questions went into effect. And then also alpha is first. My first ever slogan for the company was, you know, first in your marketplace kind of thing. So it just it flowed from there. I was thinking about doing a name change about 6 months in, but I never did it. I just kind of stuck with Alpha Media, and now it's my baby.
I like it. You are online with SammieG. The G is for Jesus. Just throwing that out there. So I like it.
I dig that, man. The G is for Jesus.
Right. Seems like, you know, you kind of graduated high school and just went for something and it worked for you. Has there been any moments that you had any failures or have things where you needed some patience or things just weren't actually maybe going in your favor during the journey of building this marketing media company?
Absolutely. Ironically, the failures started happening at around 20 years old when I started to scale it. So I do think I probably scaled too quickly. Well, I was trying to scale too quickly, and the clients were not coming in as fast as I was trying to scale. So
when you say scale, what do you mean?
So start offering more services than what I had. So at one point I was strictly offering social media services. So it was just through, you know, it was through a platform called Python, and through Python you can actually do your own coding, and you can code social media bots. You can, I mean, anything automatic, you can kind of code that. So I taught myself how to use Python and code. So I organized an entire code through Python. At the time, that was all I was doing, was just setting up accounts into our software and letting it go on autopilot. So it really didn't take too much grunt work, you know, after the coding was established. Well, then I started, you know, I wanted to start doing photography. I wanted to start doing videography. I wanted to start doing email marketing and website SEO and website development and, you know, all this other stuff. And I was scaling a bit too fast, investing too much money, you know, into scaling, and the clients were not coming in as fast as I was trying to scale. So then, I mean, that's business 101 right there. You can't get bigger than what the people are allowing you to, kind of thing, right? So I quickly ran out of money, like real fast. And then through losing too much money, I then wasn't able to, you know, maintain the clients that I already had. So then I actually had to, you know, let go of those clients. And now I'm back at square one, like with no clients, you know, nothing, a whole bunch of success and nothing to show for it, kind of thing. And I literally had to restart at the age of 20.
When you say that you kind of set into motion coding software that put something into automation, what, for those of us who don't speak coding language, and I understand that many of these kids do these days, but those that don't, what exactly are you referring to when you're coding particular software to do specific tasks through the clients that you're serving?
Absolutely. So the way Python is set up and the way that coding works is I'm sure you've heard of like 10010, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? All of that is just a form of coding. So that's basically, it's putting alpha numerical values into a software or a platform, and then that acts as a robot that all it does is just repeats that coding over and over and over again. So say, for instance, you set up a code to follow accounts kind of thing. Well, that robot, then it goes through its entire code and then resets, goes through its entire code and resets. So it literally just follows accounts, and that's its job. It's like hitting the refresh button on your website over and over and over and over again, kind of thing. So instead of you having to manually do it, now a robot does it.
What's the objective there? Like, what's the ultimate goal of setting that into motion?
The goal for that was to, you know, take it off of manual labor and put it into artificial intelligence hands. So it was a lot easier for me just to code, you know, take 9-10 months to code that software. And then I was able to just hire on clients, put their account username and passwords into my software. And now their account usernames, you know, through the artificial intelligence, they were interacting with other profiles without actually having to touch anything manually, kind of thing. So it just made it way smoother and automatic. But to note on that, actually, Instagram has completely done away with all automation as of July of this year. So anything automatic, if you were with a social media marketing company that offered that, You know, people were getting follow blocked, they were getting banned, they were getting, you know, blackouts, they were getting all of this stuff because Instagram was slowly but surely, actually I say slowly, very rapidly, closing down all accounts that had anything to do that if they were detected for an automatic service. So now everything that we offer in terms of social media, as of August 1st, 2019, is all manual. So I've got one person that will manage up to 12 Instagram accounts, and it's literally, you know, all thumb action, literally all thumb action.
No bots.
No more bots. The results that have been showing, I mean, I kick myself for not starting this, you know, 5 years ago instead of going through coding the software, because the results that we've seen have been absolutely impeccable because it's so much more organic. You know, for instance, if you own a dog walking company, you don't want to interact with someone that doesn't own a dog, right? And robots don't know the difference. But if you have human eyes looking at your Instagram, you know, they can see if, you know, they can see the profiles that own dogs, right? And it's like, or your Facebook account and all this different stuff. So the results have just been absolutely impeccable.
You said that you were back with basically no clients.
Yes.
And, you know, you kind of just had to pick yourself up by the bootstrap. A lot of our audience is going through a time of where maybe they're starting their own, maybe they have already like you, and they spent too much money in investing, or now they're back at square one. What are some tips or tricks or some things that you can tell the people out there? Maybe it's not a marketing media company, maybe it's, you know, just anything where they're just kind of starting back over. I mean, I know being, you know, 20, having something like that happen to you at 20, it sometimes, you know, can feel like the world is against you, or like maybe it's not the right thing you should be doing. You have any advice to those people out there that are like, they're kind of right where you were when you were 20? And
yeah, absolutely. I would say, honestly, because I felt every emotion that you just mentioned, right? You know, the world's against you and you don't feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But I'll mention onto that if you're trying to pursue your career field, and at any age, especially at a younger age, and failure happens to you, you've got to understand that, like, if you've got the passion for it, if you've got the desire for it, and you have a drive inside of you to even step foot inside of that career field and the ambition to pursue it, then you are where you need to be at that given time. If just because a failure happens, that does not mean that you are not supposed to be, you know, there at that point in time. But I will say, when that happened to me, when I lost all of my clients, when I lost all of my money, and I basically had to start right back at square one, I allowed myself, well, I say allow myself, I didn't have a choice, to really, like 6, 7, 8 months to just soak in my own pity, like I really did, kind of thing. I was devastated. I wouldn't say I was in a season of depression, because that's a very intense word. I definitely was in a low point kind of thing. Of like, why did this happen kind of thing. So at the end of that, I just allowed myself to feel all those, you know, heavy emotions. And then I got a group of people surrounding me, you know, to really pick me back up and to encourage me, that fought for my corner, that wiped my eyebrows. And they were like, Devan, we see the potential in you. You know, we see what you're capable of. You need to get back into the ring and you need to keep fighting. So whenever failures happen, I highly encourage that you just have people around you constantly picking you back up, because if you do not have that, then I mean, you're gonna be what I was for 8 months, and you're just gonna be down and out, you know, with no one to kind of help you back up.
That sounded like an opportunity for you to really exercise some patience there.
Absolutely.
How do you consider your circle, how it's changed from that time when you were going through that period to today? Do you feel like you've been able to really increase the average sum of your inner circle to a point where it's really having a very positive impact on your success today?
Absolutely. I mean, the famous saying goes, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. You know, that 8 months really, it forced me to step back and see who I was spending, you know, who were those 5 people that I was surrounding myself with the most. And those 8 months, it definitely took patience, because it wasn't in those 8 months I wasn't doing anything to try to advance my company still. I still was trying to advance my company, but I was taking more no's than I ever had before. everything was going wrong. Some things would just fall through the cracks. I'd get a client, and then, that client would bail on me. And, so through those 8 months, it honestly was nothing but patience of just consistently learning to accept no's, learning to accept failures, and then keep on moving forward. And I can't lie. I wasn't perfect in that. I definitely didn't exercise patience the best through the entire 8 months. But looking back at it, it definitely was nothing but just knowing when the timing was right, that it would happen.
As you know, Patience the Podcast, we're really in the process of exploring this entrepreneurial journey that we've all chosen to haphazardly, recklessly, perhaps questionably embark upon, as society would most likely phrase it for those of us that are bold enough and crazy enough to attempt to follow our dreams. How did it all start for you? Where did you, as a kid growing up? I know for me, it was very hardwired, pushed in my small little religious community. I know you grew up Christian as well. So how did you find influence? Did you find mentors? Where was it that you saw outside of that bubble and really wanted to take a shot outside of what everyone is expecting you to do, and decide, I'm going to beat this path. It's a beaten path that I see everybody else going on, and I'm just going to go and start trudging along a brand new path that everyone's going to criticize me for. Everyone's going to question what my, secure future is going to turn out and look like if I embark on this. I mean, you obviously were bold enough to move to a whole different country, Australia, I had a chance to do when I was that age. But this journey starts a little bit earlier. Tell us a little bit about the early years.
Absolutely. So honestly, as long as I can possibly remember, I just loved business. I didn't know it was business, at the time. But looking back on it now that I have, the hindsight, it was definitely the love and the art of business. My mom owns an accounting firm, and she has my entire life. And, my dad headed up one of the largest distributions company for the entire East Coast of America. They're actually the main distributor for Red Bull. It's a little plug. So I got to try all the new flavors and stuff like that. But with that being said, both my parents had companies, but neither one of them could I take over in any way, shape, or form, right? So they were both geniuses in business and in their own field, but it wasn't like a restaurant where I was just like, all right, well, I'm ready for my time, right? It was like they built it, and unless I got an accounting degree, I couldn't own my mom's company, and honestly, I just didn't want to get into my dad's field. So I had a choice to make, and I started selling candy in schools, but and it turned into a full-blown business. And I literally hired friends to sell candy for me, and that started in 5th grade and went all the way up to 11th grade, right? I was literally, there was a full-blown business. Everyone and in the surrounding school areas knew where they could get candy and gum and Gatorade, and it turned into a full-blown service.
Most people who start selling anything or trying to make money at a young age, it's normally because they don't have any money, or or their parents don't have any money. It actually brings me back to I think Gary Vee says it. If you're the kid who didn't grow up with the nicest stuff, or if your family doesn't have any money and you haven't started trying to make money on your own, then you've already lost. But I'm curious where your passion for selling, or even just wanting to make money, comes from. Just from it sounding like you came from a pretty good stock. Seems like you come from two parents who have money. Yeah. What made you want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I definitely didn't grow up in poverty. Both my parents, they did very well for themselves. But from a very young age, I would see my parents, I would see, everyone watches TV growing up, and you see all these successful people, and I wanted for myself what those people had. And I'm just like, what do those people do that I don't? And it always comes down to selling. It always comes down to constantly learning and evolving, and honestly having patience, because you've got to know your timing. When I started selling candy in school, it wasn't really me just trying to make money. It was really more of just me trying to prove to myself that I've got the ability to do this. And then once it started to become a success, I loved the art of it. Genuinely loved the art of making money in terms of buying something lower and selling it for higher. I fell in love with the art of making money. So now, even today, it's still the exact same. But, anytime a client pays me, or anytime, a new client signs on, I don't look at it as like, oh, finally, like more money. I look at it as like, it's really just like a big game. It's like, who can make the most money kind of thing, or like, it's all in competition with myself. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, I need this money. It was more of like, I needed to prove to myself that I had the ability, just like you see the people on TVs, because I just didn't want to think they were more special than me, right? Or anybody else for that matter. So that's really where that stemmed from.
So for all the fifth graders listening out there, don't sell candy at your school.
Yeah, do not sell
illegal.
anything. Do not sell anything in your schools. Do not.
It kind of sounded like you were a distributor, like from the very, very early part of your stage. You kind of have to chip off the old block there. With Dad's career, 5 years is kind of a long time to be running a business. How many of those years would you say? I know the first 2 years you said you ran into that position where everything kind of started to disassemble itself, and now you've got about 3 more years on top of that. Take us through the process of when it broke down and what steps you took to start to rebuild a business, rebuild that trust in yourself, have the patience to know that you're going to be able to repiece together the demand that you have overblown because you just put too much demand on yourself. You've allowed yourself to take on a little bit more than you can chew. Trying to scale too early. How does one face that situation, and how did you regroup it and put back the pieces together?
Absolutely. So there is not a one-way situation, like a one-way fix to this. Like, this is simply just to preface, this is absolutely my journey, what happened to me. This definitely isn't, the solution to all things. But as soon as 20-year-old me happened and I lost, essentially everything in terms of business, my personal life was still going great, but my business was falling apart. It took that 8 months to kind of really just sit back. And I honestly think I needed those no's for those 8 months. And it sounds like a very weird thing to say, but that entire 8 months of me trying to reestablish my company, I didn't feel like I could get a yes. And it was wild. But up to that point, I hadn't been told no a whole bunch, right? Like, I was fifth graders selling candy, and it turned successful. Like, I would sell calendars around the neighborhood because I had the little cute factor as a 12-year-old, and it was successful. The old ladies loved to pinch my cheeks, right? So, and it just, everything I'd done up to that point in my life, it was just a success. So then when I finally hit a point where failure happened, and like literally rock bottom in business, 0 clients, 0 monthly income, 0 everything, I had to pick up second jobs that I didn't want. And I think I honestly needed that season, those 8 months of just like despair in terms of business. And I needed to hear that no. So that could teach me the patience for the future, because now I've been rejected now more than that entire 8 months combined, right? Because now it's just like the pitches that go out today are far surpass the pitches that went out then. I was putting out like 1 a day, then maybe 2 a day kind of thing. Whereas now it's like, if pitches don't happen and we don't sign on more clients, like, mouths aren't going to get fed kind of thing. So it's like now there's even more pressure, and I needed that 8 months to learn how to accept a no for today kind of thing. Honestly, those 8 months to touch on, how I taught the patience. It was honestly just through those people. It was through, I read a lot of books. I did a lot of stuff that I enjoyed doing. So whether it's hiking or going skydiving or playing guitar, whatever it was, I just found outlets of how to exercise patience outside of that scenario, because I had to understand that my life wasn't just alpha media marketing. My life was also a guitar player. It was also, a member of a church where I led worship. It was, I had so many other outlets that I had to focus on, and I had to learn to be present in all of them. So once I stepped back and found that I wasn't just a business owner, it truly helped me find the patience to accept a no. And if it weren't for those 8 months of despair kind of thing, of losing everything, I don't know if I'd have had that.
How many clients do you have right now?
Currently, we service over 600 clients.
Over 600, wow.
Yes. That ranges from influencers to full-blown companies, yes.
Let's say someone's listening right now and they're like, wow, this Devan Sanders guy sounds pretty cool. I think I want to start my own media marketing company. I love social media too. what's some tips or tricks you can give to the people out there listening if they wanted to do their own thing? How do they start to get clients for themselves? What do they do?
Well, first, I would learn, because everyone knows about social media, and this is where I messed up in the beginning. So I'm actually just going to mention this to help someone maybe not mess up this way. So in the very beginning, I wrote my pitch, my pitch email, and started sending it out before I knew the lingo and all the buzzwords and the definitions, because companies would then start responding to my emails with, certain buzzwords like, can you do split testing on Facebook? I didn't know what a split test was. And I'm just like, well, you got me. So before you start all of that, before you begin that journey, you have to understand and grasp what it is that you were doing. Because yes, you might be good at social media. Yes, you might know how to take photos. You might know how to edit videos. But if you don't understand the entire back office of social media and all of its, technology, once you try to obtain a client and they ask you a question that stumps you, you're supposed to be the professional here, right? Like your client should not know more than you ever. So I would encourage to learn that before you start pitching. And that's where I messed up in the very beginning, as I started pitching and then started learning. And honestly, I think that maybe that 8 months for me would have never happened had I not done that. But So
how'd you learn?
I literally just kept learning as I was going.
Specifically, when you're learning, what kind of resources, like, are you just, again, you're cutting Google a check for all the work that you're doing in terms of research, or like, how are you picking up, all these, not just the lingo, but like, how are you really diving into like the literature behind what the business is supposed to be?
So I definitely have to give Google a huge check mark for my beginnings. But once I started to get really serious about it, I started investing into myself, kind of thing. So I got SEO certified from, a company in Australia, through an organization there. I got, Google certified through a different organization, and I got social media, I got a social media certificate from a different organization. Like, I truly started to invest in my own ability. So I started to pay people or companies or organizations that knew more about the topic than I was doing, because I never went to university. I think that's important to note. I do not have a university degree for the field I'm in. I strictly got certified in all these different areas through third parties that do have university degrees and that got certified to certify, So that was my route, and you've got to invest in yourself.
So it was Griffith University that you got mentored by, but was that some of the certifications that you went through a university to get through?
No, so they actually just kind of kept me in Australia. I was studying just like a leadership type thing there. But then I started getting, through different marketing companies and stuff like that, I started doing internships. I paid, I don't know if anyone listening to this podcast knows Ty Lopez. I took his course. I'm not really going to, leave a positive or negative review on that. People can take that as they want to. I literally just started putting my money where my mouth was and truly started to invest. And I had to know what a split test was. It all comes down to that, right? You've got to know more than your clients.
It sounds like you've really put your ear to the ground and tried to, I guess, take legitimate certification courses. I mean, I know you
Absolutely.
can get SEO certified. Any advice for those people out there that are kind of like, well, yeah, I can go and get certified, and I don't necessarily have to go to school, and I could actually start learning this stuff even if I am in school?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the resources out there for those young cats that are looking to follow in your footsteps and try to explore some of the hard skills that you're going to need in this business to convert? Absolutely.
So in today's day and age, it's absolutely beautiful, because there's actually websites out there now. One in specific that I'm actually a part of is called VitaShare. And what that does is there are hundreds of people that you can actually choose from through, and they're all CEOs. They are all masters of their trade. And you can literally buy time and a one-on-one consultation with this person, right? From 10, 30, 60 minutes kind of thing. So you can literally sit down with a person for 60 minutes that is certified, that has done the work, that has gone before you, and just learn from them. Take notes, write down everything they know, pick their brain, and you can do that, right? And then you can take that. But then, I mean, I highly recommend getting like an actual certificate in these areas. So you have to go to third-party resources. And, you know, I have to Google a check for that too. You just Google, you know, SEO certification courses, all this kind of stuff. And I guarantee there's some in your area, you know, that's online now, right? And but in terms of learning before you start doing all that, gosh, you've got so many people at your disposal these days that you can just take notes from.
When you do get a little bit stressed out, when you do hit rock bottom, you eventually have your company fall to the ground, which I know many a business person, many entrepreneur have experienced maybe one or more times. You got to have your ways to unwind, and I understand that one of those ways for you is music and surfing, and we happen to have a rapper named SammieG.
SammieG.
Who's got a Waffle Bat video out now. Everybody should go check that out. Ever have any aspirations to become a musician in your life?
I did, man. What musician doesn't want to be a famous musician? I mean, let's just put that out there. But I will tell you, and I shouldn't even say this because this means you're going to, do not YouTube search Devan Sanders. Please do not do it. I do not know the password to get into that account and delete every single video on there. But that is 14-year-old me having the time of his life with another one of my best friends who now is actually, if I can shamelessly plug him, his name is Fryer on Spotify and all music platforms. And he's in cahoots with Bass Nectar. He's actually in Arizona right now, headlining a festival there at Shady Park for all the university college students. But it was me and him at the time just creating music. And we both sucked so bad at what we did, but man, we were having a good time. But that's the only videos that I have on YouTube. So don't search my name on YouTube. Go to my Instagram if you want to hear my music. But yeah, like I definitely wanted to pursue a career in music. To this day, I still would love to, you know, maybe just release a song on Spotify just to say I did it. You know what I mean? I don't want to give it up, but just to say I did it, maybe put a song on Spotify or something like that.
You're going to regret it if you don't.
Yeah, I know.
It, man. You better put business aside on, like, you know, a few hours of the month there, guy. Make it happen.
Absolutely. I've actually got a song right now that I've, the beat and stuff's recorded that, you know, I spoke on my buddy earlier. He's in Arizona right now. He actually produced the entire beat for it, and then I wrote the music. So all I have to do is take that to a vocal studio and just kind of chop it up and get that done. And I'll probably put that one on Spotify because it's a damn good song if I can biasly say that. But
hey, I like it. I like it. Sam and I were just talking earlier about some of the you know, tombstones that we have on like MySpace from back in the day.
Oh no.
And like how nobody should ever go, like I literally haven't thought about MySpace in about 10 years. And Sam was like, remember MySpace? And I have some songs now. I was like, oh my God. No one's erased their MySpace. Everyone's MySpace is still
there.
up.
It is there.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying.
If you Google Devan Sanders, my MySpace still pulls up in like the SEO. Like, how is this still working?
It's like atrocious that in people's entire like musical, like, I wonder if like big artists still have their, like, obviously they're pulling them down. I mean, everybody knows to do that nowadays, but I bet there's a few out there. Like, you could probably find the really, really awful beginnings on the same.
Yeah, the old music. I know Ed Sheeran's got his out there, and man, he was an awful singer. Like, we can be honest about it. He even knows it.
Everybody has this conception that artists that are mainstream successful today were that good when they were like 2. Like, they were just like, they have to go to this like trajectory of like sucking at first and getting better.
Unless you're Beyonce, you've been great since birth.
Yeah, Beyonce came out the womb. She was like,
But no, you're definitely right. It takes a lot of time, just like with anything, though. You know, you always see the blueprint for what greatness can be in a young person. But just like with anybody or with anything, if you don't put the time and the work in it, it can be lost potential. You know, it could, or really that's all it is. You know, you have the potential to do something. But if you don't hone in on it and try to work it, then it will never grow.
It's deep, Sammie. That hits deep.
I like that how you touched on basically when you were going through bad times or stressful times, or even you didn't call it depression, but we'll say, you know, well, I'll call it that, or your darker times. You turn to music, or you turn to hiking, or you turn to skydiving, you turn to, you know, God or other things of that nature. I think that a lot of times we forget especially when we're working so hard at something or we're trying to achieve a goal, we forget all the little things in life that can make us feel at peace and that can give us joy and bring us happiness. I know for me, snowboarding is a passion. I had this realization, why can't I be good at everything that I do? I wanted to paint, so I started and drawing and like even editing videos. It dawned over me, like, you know, like, why can't I be great at everything that I try? Not saying I'm going to make money from everything that I do, but why can't I be the best? Go out and try some things. Go out and do some stuff. Go out and paint. Go out and, you know, go skydive, go hike, try surfing. Go out and try things, you know, and then like, if you really love it, work at it and get good at it. I know when I first started snowboarding, the more I did it, the better I got. And the more happier I became, you know, same with painting, same with making music, same with like editing videos, just so many different things out here in this lifetime that we really just like bring happiness and bring joy to our lives. And it always doesn't have to be about the money. Money
absolutely, Sam.
But
absolutely, Sam. That is
your
so
happiness
important.
is important.
That's so important. And I think that boils down to you've got to know that you are more than what you do, right? Just because you snowboard, that doesn't mean that is literally who you are. You know, you're a son, you're a daughter, you know, you're a husband, you're a dad. You know, like there's so much more to who a person is than what they do, right? So you've got to find those outlets. So that's huge, Sam. That was a good point.
Like if I could go back today into my 20s and, you know, slap myself upside the head and explain to myself that time management is like the most important thing you can have.
Oh man.
Not just for the schooling part and what you have to do, but realizing that there's people out there in their 20s know they've got to go and do those things. They've got to like plan to whatever they choose to do for their career if they're going to choose that life. But then instead of going out and partying like aimlessly, just looking for good times. People in the day used to just decide they were going to make a hoof for their horse because they needed it, and then did it. And it took them like 6 months. And it was more out of need. But like nowadays, we have it so good. We have it so easy, especially in America. So if those international, you know, listeners out there are like, man, these spoiled Americans, we have it a lot better. And I think it's so easy to forget that it's still on us to figure out what it is that we want to cultivate ourselves into being. And so even if that's like what we call hobbies, you could turn hobbies into careers. You can turn hobbies into stores. You can turn what you love and double down on it.
100%.
About it all the time about that. Your happiness is one thing in particular that keeps you sane, but doing what makes you happy is a little bit harder in an economy as competitive as the world knows it today. But time management, right? Like if I could just kick myself in the nuts as a kid, that's exactly what I would do, and just be like, figure out what it is that you're interested at and find people that are interested in it and still pursue what you want to pursue, that, you know, the things that you have to do, like covering your bills. But don't forget that like life is about enjoyment and fun, but like really shaping yourself into a different human being can happen every day of your life.
Absolutely.
You know?
And on that, Donny, it's like, I think when you do find those other things, right? When you find your hiking, when you find your surfing, that is being patient, right? Like that is trusting the process and trusting the process in a sense of like, you don't have to work 24 hours a day on your dream, right? And I might be in the minority when I say that, but I personally believe that, you know, that it's 8 o'clock at night. Like go look at the stars, right? Like it's wintertime. Like take a break. You know what I mean? Like just be patient. Like be absolutely patient. I mean, I'm a firm believer in outworking everyone that's in your same field, but I'm also a firm believer in keeping your mental health sustainable, right? Like get enough sleep, like go out and look at the stars, breathe some fresh air, you know? And I think that's where you find the patience, is when you find what you love to do, to take a break from what you're doing, right? So gosh, I love it. I love patience. You guys are awesome.
I think it is really important. I just want to mention some other entrepreneurs that brought this to my attention recently, like, and we kind of touched on this, right? Like a big part of being an entrepreneur is obviously having a solution-oriented mindset. You want to be able to like look at problems look at solutions and not problems. Like I look at problems as like opportunities today. Like if there's a problem that's coming up in my life, or I have to figure out how to make something work a little bit better, I see that as an opportunity for me to see outside myself and to grow and to get a little bit uncomfortable. So
that's huge, Don.
You know, looking at those problems, you know, going into problem solving mode and not thinking in the problem mindset, but thinking in the solution mindset. And then another thing is the emotional fortitude, you know, not dealing with failure or embarrassment and ridicule emotionally, because it will absolutely keep you still and stall you and you know, impede your progress. And that's tough. A lot of kids, you know, haven't gone through enough for them to really have that kind of emotional fortitude. But then also just understanding how the brain works. Like you're a guy who works in marketing, Devan. You have to understand the psychology behind consumer, you know, purchasing power, buying, brands, how you're going to scale. It's not just numbers. It's also understanding like the human side of the brain. So, you know, it can't be underestimated, those three things: how the brain works, emotional fortitude, and like a solution-oriented mindset aren't really taught in schools these days, but the entrepreneurial path kind of forces you to learn them.
That's huge. Hey, if you listeners are taking notes, those are three major points that I would write down right there. That's huge.
And sometimes, you know, there are problems that you can't solve in life, you know, and I think when we take a step back and we have some perspective on everything, you know, like even me, like doing music, there's a lot of business, you know, there's a lot of business and money that goes into becoming a successful, you know, singer, songwriter, rapper. But at the end of the day, I'm just singing songs, man. You know, I'm just singing. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, you want to be a chef, you're just cooking. Like, you're just making food. You know what I'm saying? Like, man. Just, like, we're not doing, like, we're, like, you know, like, we're not, it's really not that serious. Like, everything that we're doing is like, this is all fun. This is all for play. Like, it's literally all for play. That's it, you know? And I think we lose sight of that, you know? And I you know, a lot of people have a pessimistic, you know, way at looking at the world. I personally have an optimistic way, and I think that it's all play. I think that, you know, whether you have to wash a car, I mean, either whether I do it myself or whether you have to do it, I mean, we just want the car to be clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that serious. You know, whether you have to take the trash out or you're the garbage man, you know what I'm saying? Someone has to do something with the trash, you know, and at the end of the day, still, it's just trash. You really don't have to do anything if you don't want to do anything, and then you can just have trash everywhere, you know, and that's okay too. A lot of times I'm so focused or so like, this has to happen, this has to be like this, it has to be like that. You know, I really like to trust in the divine, and also just knowing that, like, you know, everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. And I think I stole that from Oprah. I said it before in a couple of our other podcasts, and I hope everyone listening can adopt that mindset as well, that everything is always working out for you and nothing is like super serious. And, you know, just have fun in this lifetime. You know, this is an unpopular opinion, but I know like a lot of people were like, you know, if I could relive life, or if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all differently. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. Like, I probably wouldn't do it any different. You know, I probably would. Honestly, I wish I made more mistakes, you know, when I was making all of my mistakes, because then I would have just learned. I would still be further along. Like, you got to understand that, like, everything that we go through, good or bad, it's all part of a process of becoming better. Again, even becoming better is very relative and is, again, really not that serious. Unless you're hurting, you know, unless you're hurting people or things of that nature. But again, it's like, dude, you messed, like, you didn't sell as many records this time. Like, it's fine. The songs suck. Maybe you gotta just
do better next time.
Yeah, like, just do better next time. Like, I don't know, maybe go take some vocal lessons. You guys lost the game. Maybe you gotta train a little harder. Maybe you need a break. Maybe you need to go see a movie. maybe you need to stop watching Netflix. You know, maybe it is okay to just
You need to stop watching Netflix.
Everyone can admit to that.
I mean, that's another thing. Everyone isn't going to be like an A player. So like at the same time, like if you're happy with watching Netflix, dope. Like we need, like, actors need money. Like people love to act. They need to feed their family. Like we need, like, it's like we want you to keep watching Netflix too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to know your role. You have to know your place in life. And if you know, like, this is the best that if you feel like this is the best that you can do, you like working your 9-to-5 job. We always talk about this on the podcast. It's like, dude, be happy. Just when you can get to the point in your life to where you don't even complain to yourself, I think you've made it.
Absolutely.
You know what I don't get, speaking of on that, about non-A, B, C players, even if you're not born to be an A, B player, whatever, not born to be a C player, there is nothing wrong with that. What I don't understand is that people that fail to recognize that and are still chasing the accolade and know that they're not happy in the current position or their life or whatever, and they're just maintaining that because they think there's nothing else out in the world to do. That just perplexes me. I don't understand. If you know this is where you're at, and you know you can't make the decision, you don't have the mental fortitude to try to even, explore whether you're an A, B, C, D player, whatever it is, for you to just like sit there and watch TV, we do need that. So keep watching, supporting these actors out here making movies and stuff on Netflix.
Everyone can't rap. I mean,
right.
Right. Then I wouldn't have a job if everyone wanted. Everyone can't be an amazing musician. Everyone can't be a soccer player. Everyone can't be a football player. Everyone can't have a marketing media company. Like everyone's just can't do it, or like, we wouldn't have stuff to do.
And that's what's beautiful.
Right. That's exactly what's beautiful, is that we all have like unique talents. We all have unique things that like bring us peace and happiness. And like you get off by like, it gets you off by like doing a marketing media company or like, making money. Like some people really love like just making money. Like that is their thing. Like it fulfills them. Like that actually, you know what I'm saying? Like that actually fulfills people, making money. And I totally can relate, you know what I'm saying? But I also know like that's not the only thing that fulfills me either. So we just gotta, guys, just try to find something that fulfills you, and know that like it isn't just one thing, and one thing isn't gonna define you. And beating yourself, like, the highs are never that high and the lows are never that low. Try to find a balance, because trust me, if it's a good time now, you're heading to some bad times. And if it's a bad time now, you're heading to some good times. So just take it. I would, like, one of my favorite quotes is like, take your wins and losses the same.
Yeah, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
I just feel like life is it's just taken too seriously. I'm not saying don't take care of business, but like for you to live your whole life as if your only job, just take care of your family and just take care of business and go and do the same thing every Sunday. Anybody can start a podcast. This is not uniquely a gift that any of us have. Marketing is, music is. But you could do anything that doesn't take a lot of money, but takes a lot of creativity. And creativity is free.
Absolutely.
It doesn't cost you a damn thing.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand people that aren't even curious. And I don't knock people who like to make money. That's great. You're getting lots of fun coupons, go spend them. That's what life is about, is living. But if that starts to consume your every being, if you get stuck and you become a workaholic, and I really have a great deal of respect for those men of that last generation. But I think we are the last generation to be chasing accolade as if that is the end-all, be-all mantle that we're going to put on the wall and make our legacy. I think you're a great example, Devan, of somebody who jumped into another country. One, it takes a level of emotional fortitude at the age that you did. And then two, you didn't follow the traditional route. When I know where you come from, community that you grew up in South Carolina, I'm sure people were giving you the side eye being an entrepreneur.
They still are, yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? I say that's exactly what we entrepreneurs need. And I didn't realize it growing up, because it was like a very intense thing being first gen and also getting scrutinized by like my peers. But at the same time, gosh, what a blessing, because I'm still me. Every person changes so often in their lifetime, but that part never changes.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going being you. You can't stop being you. You could try to suppress it. You could try to bottle it up. You're still going to start popping at some point. And I hope you're ready to accept the fate that you are you, and that's never going to change.
And Devan, I wanted to ask you, do you think it's harder doing the marketing media company here in the States, or was it harder in Australia? And I'm curious if your clients are more foreigners or more Americans, and or if do you have a specific, like, more types of, like, do you have like more types of one type of people, like just people who want to be influencers, or people who are just, like, or is it more so small businesses, things of that nature?
In terms of what was easier, Australia or the States, honestly, it's easier in the States because there's more competition, but honestly, there's less quality competition, but way more quantity opportunity. So, I mean, here in the States, you're literally gonna have every single basement Billy that wants to start a social media adding. I mean, I was a basement Billy at one point, so I can't really knock basement Billies. There's plenty of those that go around. So, but in terms of getting clients, it's a lot easier in the States just because there's so many. So it's really just proving to clients here, that they need your services. In terms of who are, our clients of those 600 plus people, mainly our clients are restaurants, car dealerships, gyms, personal trainers, like healthcare places, like hospitals and ambulances and emergency transportation companies, stuff like that. And that's kind of like our main thing. We just started doing nonprofits recently. So that's really our main thing. Out of those 600 plus clients, I would maybe say probably 200 of them are going to be influencers, people that just want to make a living off of Instagram kind of thing. And that's something that we can do for you, right? Like, we can 100% monetize your Instagram. So a lot of people are influencers that just want to do that stuff. And then the other 400 are going to be, they're going to be your small companies. They're going to be your big companies. We've got, we've got quite a few multi-million-dollar companies that we just kind of run their Instagram and put it on autopilot for them so they can worry about the logistics of their business. But yeah, so that's kind of this.
I'm curious how you manage 600 clients, accounts, and stuff of that nature. Is it like, does it have to do with your coding and and how many people do you have working with you, or is most of it like just done through the bots and stuff like that? So it's a lot easier to control, or like how much actual groundwork, like level, other than the coding and stuff and things of that nature that you had to do, how much actual time and work are you putting in on these 600 clients between you and
the employees? So yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Instagram, just in terms of social media management, I will have one person manage up to 12 accounts kind of thing, depending on the complexity of the account and what it needs kind of thing. So one person will manage up to 12 accounts. We have over 600 social media accounts that we do manage because all of our clients, every single package that we offer also goes into social media like that. That works for us because then we know what's being put out onto the online presence. So all of our packages include social media management. So I'll have one person manage up to 12 accounts, and then, so 600 divided by 12, it's going to put
50.
So it's going to put you in around the 50 to 60 range. So that's just people that are going to manage social media accounts. Then I've got a media director who does all of the videography, who does all the photography in this area kind of thing, in the Grand Strand area. I literally take trips with this guy. He's turned out to be my best friend.
That's Hunter, right? You're talking about Hunter.
That's Hunter. Yeah, you know him. You've probably seen him on my Instagram all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So Hunter Fusat, he's turned out to be one of my best friends. He's my age. He's driven. He's ambitious. And not to mention, his talent is absolutely through the roof. This man had the opportunity to work with Discovery Channel. He's certified in way more ways than what he needs to be. He's way overqualified for even the Discovery Channel, to be honest. His talent is through this world. He's the Beyonce of media in terms of coming out the womb talented. Like, it's phenomenal. I don't know how this guy works with me, but he does. So yeah, his name's Hunter. So he does all of that stuff,
So are your clients posting anything? Are they doing anything, or are you guys are in full control? Like, so if you're managing like an influencer's account, are they posting their own pictures, or are you guys posting their pictures? Are you doing any promotion for them? What does that look like for a client, for like a restaurant? Or, I mean, I would assume that you're running some type of campaigns and things of that nature. But are they in any control of anything?
Absolutely. So you're in full control of your social media. Just because we manage it doesn't mean, that we are in 100% control and you're not allowed to do anything. All of our clients still have full access to their profile. So if they want to post something to their Instagram by themselves, they fully can. But we do that for them. If they want to create a graphic for their Instagram and post it up, because it's a last minute meetup or something that a company's having on 1312 Prince Lawn. That's literally an address that I just made up out of my head. Nobody go to that address. You know what I mean? But it's just like, if they want to do that, then they fully can. What we do is we just make sure that everything in terms of quality that needs to get out, it hits the right eyes at the right time and then consistently stays in front of the customer's eyes. So for an influencer, most influencers, if they're genuinely trying to pursue it, they've got, someone that takes their photos, or they're going on modeling shoots all the time. So then we'll set up a Google Drive folder with that influencer. They import all of their photos into that Google Drive folder that we have access to, and then we manage all of the posting to make sure, because we've got a software that analyzes, a proprietary software that analyzes ideal times to post. Then we can manage commenting back, so influencers don't have to worry about responding to, all those minute comments kind of thing. Like, where did you get this shirt? We know where they got the shirt because that's included, in the Google Drive folder. So they give us the information, and then we can answer the 1,000 questions, kind of thing. So that's the kind of stuff that, that we do.
This full-blown marketing agency, you guys are based out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I assume.
That is correct.
You guys have a brick and mortar, right? You guys have a physical office, you have employees, you're running a whole, are you contracting, or how does it work for you guys?
Yes, so we do have a brick and mortar here in Myrtle Beach with, employees and all that good stuff. And then we've also got clients in Mexico, where we have like a small little office in Mexico City, Mexico. We've got a small little office in Gold Coast, Australia, and in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
So you have to, at some point, you have to be managing. Are those offices on autopilot? Do you have managers doing that, or are you kind of micromanaging it from?
Yeah, there's GMs over there at every physical location.
Are you public, Devan?
No, we are not.
Any plans to go?
I don't know, man. I like the family type thing, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like for one day, if I, for when I have children, if they'd like to take over the legacy, then by all means they can. And I don't know if I want it public. You know what I mean? Honestly, we're not even
the CEO.
What's up, brother?
Are you solely the CEO of the company?
Yeah, 100%. I went into business by myself.
You own 100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely didn't get here on my own, but I am 100% owner kind of thing. But in terms of back to the public question, we're nowhere near close to even reaching that, that opportunity of going public. You know what I mean? Like, nowhere near close. I think you've got to be well established into it, way more than 3 years. Unless you're Uber, then you just kind of skyrocket. But we don't have that same success story.
A lot of people jump into the public sector. Yeah, I do believe it's probably a little bit hasty before you've got a real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've still got some major clientele. Did you guys have any investors early on?
No way. Yeah, none. No. Yeah, none at all, man. I literally started. That's exactly why.
Have you made your money back yet, Devan? Did you at least make your money back for all the money you put into the business yet? Or are you still?
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely made all the money back. Definitely. We're in the black now.
Good. So, and you probably invested a lot more in the beginning. You probably weren't. You were investing a lot more in the beginning than you were making.
Absolutely, especially when I hit 20 and tried to scale it. I just blew all my money on a bunch of nonsense stuff, and then had to eat my words, kind of eat my actions, I guess.
So, as of today, I mean, you've been doing this for 5 years. You're scaling up, I assume, on some level. Where do you see Alpha Media going in the next 5 to 10?
Oh my goodness, brother! I project Alpha Media to be, in 10 years, definitely dancing with the big dogs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm talking like Wall Street will be coming to Alpha Media nonstop. You know, like I project in 10 years that I would like for Alpha Media, and I've got the drive for it to happen, for it to be a multi-billion-dollar company. That is what I would love to see. Honestly, it's not going to happen in the United States. It's going to have to branch out into multiple countries on a much larger scale than what it already is. But in 10 years, that's exactly what I see. In 5 years, we'll be well on our way to that. You know what I mean? Like, we'll definitely be a force to be reckoned with in the United States of America in 5 years. I mean, I think we are right now, but that's biased.
Are you close to $1 million now? Close to $1 million company now?
In terms of net, no way, not a chance, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet. One day, I would say by 2020 though. I've given myself by December of 2020 that we will have hit the 7-figure mark in terms of net worth.
But I mean, honestly, I hear a lot of people talking these days about how that's everyone's goal is to hit $1 million, mark, and it's perfectly okay to be sitting at $400,000 or $500,000 revenue and just having however much of that percentage of expenses go to the business and just taking your 1 to 3 out of it over the next few years and just investing in smaller things and just being happier. I mean, not everybody wants to scale up to that point, but you are one of those people who wants to see your business go to that level and be playing up there with the big dogs.
Absolutely. And that is specifically, like I said, everything that I've said in this podcast is literally just my journey, right? So I only want to see, I say my company, but honestly, it is every single person that works at it. I want to see it hit the M's, and I want to see it one day hit the B's. But you got to start with goals, and right now the goal is just to hit the 7-figure mark. If we can hit 1 million, I'm gonna praise it. I'm gonna enjoy it. And then moving on, it's time for the next letter up, right? I want to hit the B's. Maybe one day's the T's. You never know.
You've got some big dreams. You've got some big ambition. You've really got some good leverage going, Devan. What do you see your legacy being in terms of, I guess, in terms of you as a businessman, but also you as Devan Sanders? Where do you want, the family legacy to remember your efforts here?
Mate, that is such a beautiful question. I appreciate that question. Just to preface that. But genuinely, I do not want to be known as, I don't want to be known as the owner of Alpha Media. I genuinely don't. I would love to have I want to be known as the person that that helped as many people as I could, and even now with I'm working at that by a lot of full service marketing agencies will only take on high ticket clients. But, I've got just as many, $279 a month clients as I do $10,000 a month clients. But that's because not everyone can afford the $10,000 marketing. But these companies, these small restaurants, these small mom and pops, they still need marketing done because they don't know what they're doing. So I love to negotiate. I love to work out stuff that helps them. As long as it doesn't put us in the red, I don't really care how much profit we get off of it, right? Because I think everyone deserves an equal opportunity at success. One of my biggest dreams and goals, and I get goosebumps every time I talk about it, but one of my biggest dreams is to make enough money to put people through university that can't afford it. Because I honestly hate the fact that money limits opportunity in today's day and age. I can't stand that. So I would like to make enough money myself to be able to provide for other people that if they've got the drive, the ambition, the determination to be a doctor, but they don't have, the $400,000 that it takes to get there, and that's just a random number. I don't really know how much it is. But if they don't have that amount of money to get there, I would like to provide that for them with no expectation of a payback. Right?
See, yeah, I think that's the difference between that last generation and ours. I've got a business partner whose aunt is an OBGYN, and she wants to open up a cancer hospital that treats patients for free. And I think that's what's happening right now. That's the shift that's going on. And that's incredible, Devan, that you're so much more than the businessman that you have worked hard to become. I understand you're also trying to step into the speaking engagement world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, and this is just brand new. This is the past year. Honestly, probably the past 3-4 months that I've genuinely tried to step up and maybe take, a few more speaking engagements. Before I was always declining them because I, quote unquote, didn't have the time. That's a load of bull hockey. Definitely had the time. Just have to prioritize, go back to time management. But yeah, I would love to do, because this is literally free education. And I thrived on this in the very beginning stages of, of my start. of just listening to people like Gary Vee, you know, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and everything else, the people that went before you and became successful. And I just listened to every word they had to say and took notes. You know, how do they live their life? What do they do when they wake up in the morning? And I think I've gotten to a point, not that like I'm on a higher pedestal than others, but I just think after learning so much and listening to so many people, I've kind of got my own grasp of knowledge, and I love to share it. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to give that away and help as many people as I can to kind of get to a point of success easier. So yeah, that's kind of the gist in the speaking engagements and why I want to do so many of those.
Well, Devan, we just want to thank you so much for joining us for episode 9 of Patience Podcast. For all the people out there, all these future entrepreneurs, all the 5th grade candy slingers out there, where can they find you on social media and reach out to you and keep up with what you're doing and learn more about Alpha Media Marketing?
Absolutely. So the main platform that you want to keep up with me on is Instagram. It is Devan Sanders, but Devan Sanders. But any social media platform, you can type in Devan Sanders and you will find me. And if you want to keep up with what we're doing in Alpha Media Marketing, you can type in Alpha Media Company on any social media platform, and you can find us there as well.
Thank you, Devan, for coming on and blessing us with some knowledge and wisdom and encouragement and all the information that you provided with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. To everybody that's listening right now, keep pushing away. Keep grinding. Keep going hard. I realize I didn't say any cuss words this podcast, and that's just not like me. Get up off your ass. No, make something happen.
Finish strong, Sammie.
And, you know, Devan's living proof that you can do it at 22. I'm living proof you can do it at 21. Donny's living proof that you can do it at 37, 38. You know, that no matter how old you are, no matter where you're starting from, no matter what stops you or holds you back or anything that just brings you down, that you can reach your goals. You can continue to reach your goals. And more than just that, you can be happy and you deserve happiness. And I wish that for all of you out there.
Devan, thank you again for joining us for episode 9. And we will be on the lookout for Alpha Media Marketing. And everybody be sure to check Devan out on his IG and his media company. He is doing big things.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast. I love Patience the podcast. If you guys are listening, tune in every single time these guys put out a new podcast. I'm about to be a brand new listener. I'm their newest listener as of today.
Devan, we'll be keeping in touch with you, and everybody be sure to keep in touch with Devan. Make sure to follow Patience the Podcast on Instagram, at Patience the Podcast, at Facebook, and keep an eye out for Sammie Jesus. He's got some new content coming your way, and we've got some big announcements coming soon. So thank you all for joining us for episode 9, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you next week.
See you guys.